Have you ever wondered why the Made in China tag is on so many products? For over 4 decades, China has proudly worn the badge of being the world's factory. That iconic Made in China tag has symbolized China's unparalleled dominance in manufacturing. However, recent trends suggest a transformation is afoot. While global titans like Sony and Apple have historically banked on China, there's a discernible migration in manufacturing landscapes. This shift, gaining noticeable traction since 2018 amidst trade wars, is not just influenced by Western nations' strategies, but also by Chinese firms themselves reevaluating their supply chains. And it's not a reflection of China's capabilities, but rather an indication of expanding global canvas. As countries like Turkey, Bangladesh, and especially India emerge as formidable alternatives, even iconic brands like Apple are establishing footholds in these new terrains, with Samsung recalibrating its once China-centric blueprint. So, what drives this monumental shift? What factors transformed China into the world's factory, and are these factors changing? How significant is the recent shift of businesses moving out of China, and where are they heading? What combination of economic, political, and global events has led to this monumental migration away from China's manufacturing dominance? Under the stringent leadership of Mao Zedong, China was not particularly inviting to businesses. Zedong's commitment to his communist principles meant he perceived capitalist elements as threats to societal unity and equality. As a result, he championed a state-controlled economy, sidelining private ventures. However, the atmosphere started to undergo a massive shift in the 1980s, marking China's transformation into a hub for international corporations. Much of this metamorphosis can be attributed to Deng Xiaoping, who assumed leadership following Zedong's demise in 1976. Being a steadfast member of the Communist Party, Deng leaned towards pragmatism in economic decisions rather than rigid ideological constraints. His ambitious initiative in 1979 aimed at fusing China with the global marketplace, creating an inviting aura for foreign ventures. The policy alterations meant that by 1986, foreign businesses weren't mandated to share ownership stakes with the Chinese government anymore. Beyond this, Deng championed the creation of special economic zones, offering enticing incentives such as tax cuts, efficient administrative processes, and infrastructural enhancements. These strategic moves set the stage for a substantial influx of foreign capital. To make the deal even more attractive, Deng introduced policies that favored international businesses substantially. While domestic companies faced a tax imposition of about 25% on their earnings, foreign companies were levied at rates ranging between 10% to 15%. As the 90s progressed, these foreign ventures had additional opportunities to benefit from tax reductions and substantial reinvestment incentives. Such fiscal incentives, combined with China's affordable yet skilled labor force, drew immense foreign investment. However, the seeds of change were being sown. The geopolitical landscape started witnessing tensions, especially between China and the US, introducing uncertainties for businesses. Moreover, as China's economy flourished, it led to a rise in operational costs. Manufacturers began feeling the pinch of increasing costs, prompting them to seek alternative locations. Apple's trajectory offers a prime example. In the late 90s, Apple found itself lagging behind rivals like Microsoft and IBM. A crucial pivot in Apple's revival story was its collaboration with China. China's expansive, adept, and economically viable labor pool made it a compelling partner. This alliance was cemented by 2001, with China pouring resources into infrastructure tailored exclusively for Apple, from avant-garde manufacturing units to expansive transportation networks and employee housing. This partnership epitomizes the extent of China's accommodating stance towards international businesses during that era. However, the undercurrents of change, driven by geopolitical risks and surging costs, were steadily gaining momentum. While China remains a major player, there's a clear trend of businesses diversifying their investments. It's evident that China historically served as a hotspot for foreign investments. But how profound is the ongoing change? An illuminating survey from the European Chamber provides some perspective. Approximately 10% of companies surveyed have already redirected investments away from China, with another 20% contemplating or deferring such moves. Delving into specifics like the aerospace sector, we find that 20% of entities have no future investment plans in China. This isn't confined merely to overseas businesses. The European Chamber highlighted that 40% of its survey participants noted Chinese clients or suppliers reconsidering their investment strategies within the nation. Further insights come from European Chamber of Commerce in China's annual Business Confidence Survey. A pool of 570 companies participated, revealing a palpable shift in business sentiments. Key takeaways include: 11% have rerouted existing investments out of China. 8% have redirected future investments initially earmarked for China. 10% have either moved or are mulling over relocating their Asia headquarters HQ or business unit HQ outside of China. Given the vastness of the Chinese market and its historical allure for foreign ventures, these percentages are quite significant. The assertion that 11% have relocated existing investments underscores the gravity of the current scenario. On the manufacturing front, countries like India are surging. Besides the likes of Apple, even Chinese firms such as smartphone giants Oppo and Vivo, as well as car manufacturer SAIC, have established manufacturing facilities in India, signifying its growing appeal. Shifting our gaze to Bangladesh, the appeal primarily lies in the substantial cost difference. To put it in perspective, a worker in Bangladesh earns an average monthly salary of around $120. In contrast, their counterpart in Guangzhou, a major manufacturing hub in southern China, takes home roughly $670. This wage disparity, favoring Bangladesh, showcases a compelling financial incentive for businesses. Thailand, too, is making notable strides, especially as it climbs up the value chain in manufacturing. Today, the country is recognized as a vital production center for various goods, including car parts, vehicles, and intricate electronics. Vietnam has experienced a considerable uptick in interest, especially from Chinese companies. As China's economy started its reintegration process, there was a noticeable increase in Chinese enterprises setting up shop in Vietnam, reflecting the country's growing strategic importance. Moving away from Asia, Mexico is emerging as a preferred destination, especially for Chinese manufacturers. One can't underscore enough the strategic advantage of Mexico's proximity to the U.S. market, which is an irresistible attraction for these manufacturers keen on serving their U.S. clientele efficiently. Then there's the European continent, where countries like Poland are witnessing a rise in attention. A case in point would be the Chinese electric vehicle makers who are setting their sights firmly on the European market. Notably, BYD, a major player in the EV space, harbors significant expansion ambitions in the region. Returning to the topic of HQ relocations, the European Chamber survey highlighted Singapore as the top pick for a whopping 43% of the businesses making a shift. Singapore's allure is multifaceted, encompassing its friendly business ambience, crystal clear legal parameters, political stability, enticing corporate tax structures, and skilled labor pool. The recent trend of companies rethinking their ties to China can be traced back to several compelling reasons. At the heart of this shift are the escalating operational costs. While businesses universally prioritize profits, the potential for these in China appears to be waning. The country's blossoming economy has brought with it rising living standards and, consequently, higher wages. China's heightened commitment to bolstering workers' rights, which includes measures like increasing the minimum wage and amplifying employee benefits, has driven up labor costs, especially in the historically manufacturing-rich coastal areas. Furthermore, as China pivots its economic emphasis from traditional manufacturing sectors to more tech-centric industries, there's a surge in demand for specialized roles in research, development, and design. The scarcity of professionals in these areas has nudged up wages, making businesses in the conventional manufacturing realm explore alternatives in countries such as India, Vietnam, and Bangladesh. Trade tensions have added another layer of complexity. Especially pronounced between China and the U.S., these trade disputes have introduced barriers like tariffs, which inflate operational expenses and challenge businesses' profitability trajectories. Intellectual property, IP, protection, or rather the perceived deficiency of it, has been another sticking point. The business landscape is fraught with concerns about potential breaches of proprietary technologies or methodologies. Given the perceived gaps in China's IP safeguards, many entities tread cautiously, with some even looking to nations with robust IP frameworks. Geopolitically, China's assertive stance on global matters and its continually evolving regulatory landscape present uncertainties. Recent regulations, particularly those impacting the tech sector, introduce operational hurdles. Notably among these is the directive necessitating data localization, which mandates data to be stored and processed within China. A move that can be logistically and financially taxing for multinational companies. Lastly, the COVID-19 pandemic's repercussions underscored the vulnerabilities of heavily centralized global supply chains. Disruptions ranging from logistical hiccups to vital component shortages prompted many to introspect their heavy dependence on China. This reflection has led some to either diversify their sourcing and production bases or even contemplate a complete relocation.